welcome back to this Return to Wellbeing series. My name is Taylor Staines from the Active Harbour team at Harbour District Council. I'm here with co-presenters Hussein Khan and Jake Batoni from the South Leicestershire School Sports Partnership.
Hi, I am Jake and I'm the Health and Wellbeing Officer at the Learning South Leicestershire School Sports Partnership. The Return to Wellbeing podcast series will focus on supporting children's mental health needs as lockdown is gradually lifted and they return back to school. In today's episode, we will be talking about body image.
Hi, I'm Hussein and I'm the Development Manager at the Learning South Leicestershire School Sports Partnership. I would like to welcome our very special guest, Hannah Wayman, who is a counsellor working with young people and adults across Leicestershire. So, Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm from Leicester myself, and I'm an integrative counsellor, and I've worked for about 7 years as a counsellor across Leicester, sort of working in charities and in higher education with young people and adults.
That's great. So can you tell the listeners a bit about what body image is?
Body image is usually how we think and feel about ourselves physically, and also how we believe others see us. So it's about our own perception of ourselves and also how we think other people perceive us.
Brilliant. So what influence do you feel social media has on body image, and what do you think can be done to minimise the impact of social media on body image?
So obviously social media can have both positive and negative influences on body image. On the negative side, there's obviously an unhealthy expectation of being in incredible shape, being toned, tanned, and having the right types of proportions or features. This sets unrealistic expectations of what is healthy and what is realistic. It's truly not reflective of real human bodies. On the other side, social media is trying to challenge this by showing kind of photos before and after they've been edited, which can obviously sort of bring more of a realistic attitude to how we view these things. And in terms of obviously trying to minimise the impact of social media on body image, ultimately there's different ways of doing it. So firstly, it may be about not engaging with social media as much, or avoiding social media that promotes unrealistic body images. So that could be one place to start. And obviously, in terms of thinking about how we minimise the impact of social media, again, there is positive body image social media platforms. So if you do want to follow social media, it's about sort of surrounding yourself with people that are promoting a healthy and realistic attitude. So again, promoting positive body image and acceptance of the body is another way to start challenging these unrealistic expectations that society tends to promote.
That's great. Thanks, Hannah. Do you think anyone can be perfect? Do you have expectations that you need to be perfect or anyone else needs to be perfect?
Okay. Obviously, my first answer is obviously no one can be perfect, and this isn't possible. As humans, we have flaws, we make mistakes, and we are imperfect, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The way to overcome that need to be perfect is to work towards accepting that none of us are, and that our imperfections are what make us different and unique. In regards to sort of, do I have an expectation that I need to be perfect, or if others need to be perfect? You know, sometimes personally, on a personal level, due to the pressures of social media and society, I certainly have moments where I feel like I need to be achieving more, that I need to look a certain way. And I think it's a common thought for many people to feel the need to do more and be better. So in relation to body image, that also relates. So again, I think, personally, I feel that. And I think from knowing other people, and I think that's quite a common thing for people to feel.
That's great. Thank you for that. So what do you do if you're worried about how you look?
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to remember that many people feel insecure about the way they look at some point in their lives, and it's just really important to remember that there isn't a single type of beauty or attractiveness, and everybody sees it differently. So there simply isn't a right or wrong way to look. But obviously, if you're worried about how you look and you're feeling quite insecure about that, the first thing I would suggest is obviously to be kind to yourself and to try not to compare yourself to many images that you see on social media or in magazines or online, because often they're digitally changed to make them look perfect and they don't reflect how people look in real life. Another thing is to focus on the things that you like about yourself and the parts of your body that you do like. So obviously, if you're feeling quite self-conscious, it's really trying to focus yourself on that sort of self-compassion and focusing on the things that you can accept. There's a few, but another way you could look at it is to spend time with people who make you feel positive. So if you're feeling quite worried or anxious about it, it might help to write things down that people have said to you that have been positive and kind, and to remember that the people in your life that you have do value you for many reasons. And also it's important to think about what advice you would give a friend. So sort of putting yourself in other people's shoes. So if your friend is struggling, what would you say to them? What would you do? And do that for yourself. So if you ever find yourself having negative thoughts, think about how you would be kind to others and turn that inwards. And then the last part of this would be to talk to someone you trust. So if you're really worried and you're really struggling, you could talk to all sorts of people that are in your life, and that might be all different forms. So your parents, your family, friends, your neighbours, people that are in your world, so teachers or people, captains of your team. There are loads of people that you could turn to and just have a chat with, really. And then obviously, if you're really, really struggling and it's really impacting your mental health and you feel like those things aren't helping, it would be to talk to a professional.
Thanks, Hannah. That's great. You talked about supporting yourself if you've got body image worries. How can you support someone else if you think they have body image concerns, be it a friend or a family member?
In terms of supporting someone, offering a listening and non-judgmental ear to a friend is obviously probably the most helpful thing you can do, especially for someone who may be really struggling. So finding genuinely encouraging words can be quite an uplifting thing for a person who's dealing with poor body image issues. And also finding activities to participate in that encourage body acceptance. And I think it's also important to remember that if you know someone that's really, really struggling and that their self-esteem is more severe than average, then it might be important to consider helping them get professional support, because sometimes body image can manifest into more serious issues such as eating disorders or body dysmorphic disorders. So it's important that you can be there for them to help them seek the help that they need, whether it's through the GP, through a counsellor or a psychologist, or through your school or college who can help kind of refer you and signpost you to professional help.
So one of the main parts of these podcasts and one of the aims of these podcasts is to try and normalise mental health. I think there's still a stigma attached, especially to young people, around mental health and talking about mental health and body image. So my question to you is, how do we normalise mental health?
I think, that's a very good question, and it's a really important thing to address. In terms of normalising mental health, I think it's just important to keep it simple. And to not overcomplicate it. I think there's such a stigma still about kind of, if we talk about mental health, it's something that's really serious and it's something that only professionals can manage. But actually, we've all got mental health. And if we think about our physical health, if we needed help to do with something physically, we would go to the doctor and nobody would question it. And if we felt ill and we couldn't go into work because of a physical health problem, nobody would question it. So I think it's really trying to align that with mental health, that we've got a physical health spectrum and we've got a mental health spectrum, and they really should be side by side. They shouldn't be separate. So in terms of, if we were to apply the same outlook to mental health, it's just normalizing it and saying, okay, if you're having a bad mental health day and you're struggling for whatever reason, it's giving yourself permission to ask for help or to take time out or to talk to people, and to know that that's acceptable and there is nothing wrong with that.
Yes, that's definitely an important point to raise. How can someone tell whether they have a healthy or poor body image, and how much body criticism is considered healthy?
Okay. I mean, I think there can be different signs to sort of indicate this, and I'm just going to probably think about the things that indicate if you have a poor body image. So in terms of that, if you're experiencing like really extreme body dissatisfaction and you feel really preoccupied with your weight and your shape and your appearance, that can be a sign that you don't have a positive body image. If you're experiencing feelings of shame or anxiety or self-consciousness about your body, again, that's a really good indicator that your perception of yourself may not be as positive or as high as it should be. If you frequently compare your body to others and you sort of feel that your body is flawed in comparison, that's usually a really significant sign that the body image is being impacted. And then also things like using unhealthy behaviors as a way to change your weight can be an indicator. So kind of dieting, skipping meals, fasting, smoking cigarettes, or making yourself sick, or taking laxatives. There's so many different ways that might indicate that you're not feeling at peace in your own body, and you're actually causing yourself harm to achieve something that is not healthy. So obviously, naturally, if you have a healthy body image, it would probably be more so the opposite of that. So you'd feel accepting of your body, you'd feel healthy, you'd feel strong. And you wouldn't judge yourself, you wouldn't criticize yourself or other people of the way that their body looks. And in terms of your second question about kind of how much body criticism would be considered healthy, I mean, in terms of the language, I probably would say that any body criticism isn't healthy. So I'll just sort of try and elaborate what I mean by that. Obviously, it's not healthy for our mental health to be hard on ourselves and to be so judgmental about our bodies, because ultimately they are vessels that give us life. So it's about trying to view them in that perspective. So the only times we might have to analyze our bodies, so I don't like to look at it as body criticism or criticizing our bodies, but actually observing our bodies is probably a healthier language to use. The time that would be important is if our bodies are being impacted in a negative way. So if we are carrying out any behaviors that might be having a detrimental impact on our physical or mental health, so that's when it's important to consider. So, for example, if you're smoking or you're drinking too much alcohol, this is going to have a negative impact on your body and your organs. And ultimately, only you will know what is healthy for you as an individual. So it's about getting to know what is healthy for you, and trying to stay away from criticism, but just observing and being mindful would be what I would say could be helpful.
Thank you for talking to us today, Hannah, and thank you for listening to this episode in this podcast series. If you have any questions about anything we have discussed, please comment below.